Hi,
Yeah.
everybody. Hello,
What's going on?
hello. Here we are, Sonia, Sony, and Andrew Thompson with Thompson Talk, where we
Try out different Jeffrey Dahmer recipes to see if they're really worth the hype.
actually, it's where we talk about everything and nothing at the exact same time.
Facts.
Facts. So today is our episode, Thompson Tuesday,
Thompson Tuesday.
episode 4. S is for
Sports. Sports.
So this is something that when Andrew and I were talking about it, I know that youth sports are just now starting up again. Andrew's sons, my grandsons, are getting really excited about that. So Caleb had his first soccer practice this last week,
Yep.
and Grayson is waiting on he's on a wait list for T-ball.
Yeah, we tried to put them in not the YMCA, but one of the youth leagues. If you're from Louisville, Linden baseball. But there's a wait list, so we're just waiting to hear back to see if we can sign him up or not. But yeah,
Yeah.
get him in the
So
T-ball. He just turned 5, by the way. Happy birthday, Grayson.
happy birthday, Gray. I know a lot of people are ready for a little bit of normalcy to resume, not only the players, all the kids or adult players, right? Sport players, but parents,
Yeah.
coaches, referees, everybody's excited about it. Last year was just bizarre. In fact,
Hmm.
Andrew was explaining to me that even March Madness this past year, I mean, this year,
It's been
right?
affected.
Like,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So sports have always been a big deal for us. I know that sports for a lot of families, it's a great way to bond. Kids remember and have special times that Andrew has quite a few experiences, not just with me, but like his
Yeah.
godfather
Yep.
was a doc, or he is a doc, but he was
There's
for,
yeah. There's just something about going to a ball game. You know what I mean? Even if your kid isn't old enough to appreciate, even if they don't give about whatever sport is being played, they will always have memories of like going and getting cotton candy or grabbing a hot dog or playing on the playground or daddy
I still
drinking
feel
too
that way as
much.
an adult. I went
Yeah.
to, I think, since I moved to California, I went to one professional baseball game and they didn't win, but I had cotton candy and a hot dog, so it was a great game.
Fire. Yeah, great time.
So Andrew's experience was about, I mean, he's a little special. Andrew's a little special anyways. His godfather, or his godfather is a doc, so he got to go for the River Bats baseball team, so he got to go into the dugout. He also got to run the bases during the seventh inning and stuff like that. What are some of the other things that you got to do, Andrew, that probably isn't
I
typical
remember
for
they
other?
did like a basketball competition. I was real young, like real young, and they brought like the little Fisher Price basketball goal out there, and I got to like shoot basketball on the mound. I've thrown a pitch out at a U of L men's game. Every time the rodeo would come in town, he was the doctor for that. So I'd get to go back in the locker room while he was like treating the guys.
But you
And I met
also got to stand up where the
Yeah, I would
bulls
stand.
came
I would
up.
stand on the cage, and there's been a couple times where I had to jump down because the bull would come through and kick the shit out of
Kick.
where I was.
Yeah.
I've been to mixed martial arts like UFC type events where he was the doc for that. Um, so yeah,
Andrew also went with Andrew is a little. Yeah, no, looking at him, you might think,
big
but
ass little.
The Big Brother, Big Sister program. Andrew had a big brother for lots of years, right? Until you
Big brother
aged
and
out of that
sister.
as well,
Yeah,
right? Big brother and sister, married couple, wonderful, wonderful people. So he
shout
got
out Ray
to
and
do a
Cheryl.
lot. Yeah, he got to do a lot of sports with them. You went to soccer games and basketball games. I
Volleyball.
remember volleyball. I remember Andrew talking about the short shorts. The lady the lady guards wear some volleyball. They wear some short shorts, right? Was that the highlight for you, Andrew?
I plead the fifth.
So Andrew's sports history. Well, mine first of all, I think that I started playing soccer when I was 10, but I also played softball and basketball up until the time that I think in high school where I discovered smoking pot and then cigarettes. I was like, I didn't have time for any of the rest of that.
Yep.
Um, but Andrew has been doing sports. I think we talked about this in a previous episode too. That Andrew's been doing sports since it began, like at 4 at the YMCA. He played all the way through until he was 14. I think that I coached absolutely every single sport that was possible for him to play, which is probably a nightmare for you, Andrew, right? Like having your mom always be the coach.
It was tough sometimes, especially because sometimes you had us doing some real goofy, but I a lot of valuable lessons learned in there. Um, One thing that I will say is I definitely didn't appreciate it when I was younger as much as I do now. The amount of time and effort that you put into all of my like extracurricular activities. I think the
Yeah.
only thing you didn't coach was when I played for the Lobos. You know, I played
Yeah,
football, and then when I played, half a season or at Seneca, I was eligible for one game. I like pot
yeah.
too. Yeah.
I think that it was for me. I liked sports, and the YMCA's philosophy was to, for my philosophy was the more fun that the kids were having, the more that they'd want to continue playing the sport.
Hmm.
And the longer they continue playing the sport, the better that they were going to get by proxy, right? Like practice makes perfect, or at least makes
Yeah.
better.
Yeah.
So I remember one of our seasons, our first soccer seasons, whether you were 4 or 5 years old, we didn't even make one goal the entire year, except for
I
when we
scored on
scored
yeah, on
on
goal.
ourselves. And we celebrated because it was at least it was a
It
goal,
was a
like
goal. Yeah.
scored on ourselves, but it was a goal. And I had a parent come up to me afterwards and they were like, your team, they're not doing well, but you guys are having so much fun. I want my kids to be on your team.
You
So,
were such
and
a
that's
good
how
coach for the Y that even after I was done playing, the Y reached out to you to have you coach other teams
said
that you.
that said yeah, that parents weren't stepping up to be coach and asking if I would coach. So yeah, it was a lot of fun. But I'm sure Andrew was naughty, and I think because I he always did much better with other. This is kind of like how it goes, right? You always do much better with the coaches who aren't your parents here.
Well,
So I
typically it was
remember,
male figures. I did better with male figures than I did
yeah,
with
yeah.
women.
So during practice, if they weren't paying attention, they had to run a lap. Andrew spent most of his time running laps,
My big
right?
ass stayed running laps all the time.
Yeah. Some other memorable Andrew sports stories. Almost every time that Andrew, for a while, he was goalie for quite a while, a goalie for soccer, which is the position I played when I was playing. He would say, "You want a piece of me?" And it
And then get
inevitably
scored on.
every time, every time
I would
that
make
he
like a
tried
great
trash talking.
save. I'd make a great save. And after I punted the ball away, I'd be like, "You want a piece of me? Let's go!" And then get scored on immediately.
Yeah,
Like
yeah, it was like a karmic.
within 4 minutes, I was scored on after I did that. So
Yeah. Andrew also, this is one of those where I think we're probably going to go to hell, but uh, during basketball season, one of the many many years, um,
context, it was all about fun, but we mixed in plenty of competitiveness as
both of
well.
us,
Like yeah,
So, Andrew, do you want to tell the story?
We were in this basketball tournament, and the other team, it's the Y, right? So like everybody can play. They had a kid that only had one arm. He had like an arm and a nub, and they passed him the ball, and I tried to steal it from him, but that shit was so strong. His his nub was so well conditioned that I struggled. It was almost a jump ball. And then I finally got it away from him. But
And while other people would be like, bad form, like, that's not my kid, I was like, yes, get
get
that
it,
ball.
yeah.
Andrew reminded me when we were talking about sports and kind of like our memories of sports. Andrew reminded me too of this one tournament. Like I try to pride myself in being, like cool and fair, and that's what it was. It was about fairness, right? Like
Yeah, that's what it was about.
we were doing so well, and I wanted to win the tournament. I know it's not about winning or losing; it's sportsmanship and camaraderie. And
No, we wanted to win the tournament. It
so there was a team that was, I
was
don't
like
know
it
if
was
they
the championship
necessarily
game,
better. Yeah, it
right?
was a championship game. Yeah. And I don't know if they necessarily were better, but they had a really good player. And
It's the YMCA, so like one player makes a difference. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
kid was
So
dropping buckets out there.
Andrew reminded me, Andrew, do you want to, what your memory of it is, since it's probably a little bit better than my old
I just
memory?
remember being hella upset because we were losing, and then it got to the fourth quarter, and this one kid had played all game, and they put him in to start the fourth quarter, and she stopped the game to tell the ref, "I have a folder with the rules, and one player can't play the whole game. Like, sit his ass down. It's not fair to the other." So she made she made this kid sit out for the fourth quarter, and we ended up winning. So,
And I think like the clincher was that wasn't a rule.
no, it was not a rule. But the ref didn't know the rules either, so he was like, "Yeah, it sure
And I
is."
was like, I've got this. I've got proof.
It was like the
It's not
roster.
fair. This is why.
So he was like,
Yeah,
"Yeah,
we won.
she's right, coach. You got to sit them down." And then yeah, their best player sat down, and we smacked them.
I'm not proud of that. Am I getting flushed? I kind of feel like I'm a little red in the face right now.
It's not worse than me stealing a ball from a less than fully
Armed.
mobile. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
The other thing that Andrew and I had kind of reminisced about was his flag football. Andrew's like the only kid that I ever know in the history of flag football to break his arm
In two places,
in two
my
places.
wrist and my radius. My radius had a half inch of separation in the bone.
Yeah, and I think that was your 13. It was getting close to the end, 13, 12 or 13, but
Yeah,
it was like the final play of the game. We ended up
literally the
scoring
final
a win.
play of the game. It was the extra point. We had already scored, and then it was the extra point, and I was
To win.
running, and somebody fell down in front of me, and somebody like pushed me from behind, and so I tripped over him, and I just reached out and
And then it
heard,
was, yeah, it
yeah.
was a trip to the hospital. But I'd given Andrew his treats, the snacks for after, for afterwards to eat. It was close to
So we
Halloween. I
sat
remember
in
that because it
the
was like a bag of like Halloween goodies that one of the parents had brought for all of the kids afterwards. And so
yeah.
because he had eaten, we had to wait for him to be put under. I remember
We're in
that.
the ER for like 6 hours.
Yeah, yeah. But Andrew wasn't the only person to get injured during all of our sports, me coaching, because there was a time he reminded me that I
We're at
totally.
practice, and I think that we had done something wrong, and so she was making us run suicides, and she was like, "All right." Now you're gonna run them backwards, and she went to show
No,
us
I
how.
don't think it was because you were doing something wrong. I think that was kind of like, when you're on defense to be able to move quickly
Backpedal.
backwards,
She got like
backpedal.
5 steps into the backpedal and
That was it. Totally tore my calf muscle. And then I limped off and I was
like
on crutches
legit
for the.
tore it. Yeah, legit tore it off the bone.
Yeah. It's an A for effort or
It
an E for
was.
effort,
Oh
something
damn.
like that.
No.
So those are a few of our favorite memories from sports, but we're really looking forward to seeing what this year is going to bring with the kiddos and with our
Hmm.
favorite sports teams. I'm a Minnesota Vikings fan, so we'll
I'm a
see how they
Pittsburgh
do this
Steelers
year.
fan. I got to go to my first NFL game at the end of 2019 after I got home from deployment. It was the Steelers versus the Bengals, and my wife and I drove up to Cincy. It was an awesome trip, and yeah, really bummed out that didn't even have the opportunity to do that again last year. So hopefully this next season we're able to go to a game because it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
So let us know what you're looking most forward to on the sports horizon for this year, or share your favorite
Sports
sports
memories.
moments with us, memories
Hmm.
with us. The email to send them to thompsontalkpodcast@gmail.com. Also, feel free to send comments, topic suggestions for upcoming episodes, and the whatnot, especially like the
Yep.
whatnot. Okay. All right. I think that's a wrap for episode 4.
All right. Love you guys. I appreciate it. Thank you for supporting the channel, and thank you for listening to us. And if nobody's told you today, your breath stink. Brush your tongue. Dirty move.